good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our little workout today. So this little workout today is perfect for people that have never done any Pilates. It's a very basic session today. And what we're going to be focusing on is stretching off the lower back. So if you sit a lot, or perhaps we're coming into gardening season and the back's feeling quite stiff, that's what we're going to focus on, stretching off the lower back. So like I said, it's ideal for complete beginners, or if you've never done Pilates before, there's nothing too technical in the session today. So you don't need any equipment either, which is ideal. So yeah, let's get started. We're going to start with roll downs, and we're going to start quite high and work our way down. Now, if you get dizzy, just take it slow, or just stay down and then come up really, really slowly. So some people like to work fast, some people like to work slow. So we're going to start off with just getting a nice posture first. I say nice posture, a good posture. Now, I'm quite guilty of standing in my hips. So I kind of sink into the pelvis a little bit, and all the weight is in the front part of the foot. So it's very lazy. And that's one reason I started Pilates, was to try and improve that. So if you lift your toes for a minute, it helps to get the weight into the correct part of the feet. So you lift your toes and you can feel all the weight is down through the ball of the foot, the outside and the heel. And then just relax your toes down on the floor. Lengthen your body up towards the ceiling. Okay, so depending on the nature of your job, maybe you feel quite round-shouldered, but have a little shoulder roll and just bring those shoulders into your back pockets. And then crown of the head is reaching up towards the ceiling. And we're not sticking our chest out, but if you give yourself a little shoulder roll, so that it might feel like you have a sticky out chest, especially if you tend to have round shoulders, you might feel like you're sticking out your chest, and then just engage the tummy a little bit. So making yourself look a little bit slimmer, so we'll hold it there. Now, soften your knees. So we're just going to take the back of the legs out of this for a moment, and we're going to start quite high. So breathe in, and then reverse your chin into the garage. So when I say reverse your chin into the garage, we're sending our chin backwards to take this curve out of the neck, rather than just dropping the head down. So reverse your car into the garage, and now take the chin above the collarbone and pull back the shoulder so that you get this really deep stretch from the back of the skull down to the shoulder blades. And just hold it for a minute there. This area can get quite tense and tight for some people. This is stretching off that muscle, which is also known as the headache muscle. And then as the tummy draws in, we're just going to fold ourselves forward. So we're going to start halfway. So I'm just going up to here, especially if it's 6 o'clock in the morning. We want to be quite gentle if we've just gotten out of bed. So relax your arms and then just relax your head. Now pull that belly button in like you're trying to get it into your lower back. Breathe in. And now keep pulling in that belly button. And imagine your belly button is pushing the spine up, one vertebra at a time. Once your head comes up, have another little shoulder roll. Breath in. Reverse the car into the garage. Take the chin down. Nice stretch down the neck. And knees are soft. As you exhale, you naturally draw in your belly. So this is why we like to do this on an exhale. This time maybe go a little bit lower. Just check where the weight is in the feet. We're trying not to sink the hips backward. So send the weight a little bit more forward into the body. Again, relax your neck, your arm, your shoulders. Just let it dangle. Breathe in. As you breathe out, pull the tummy in. Coming into standing, have a shoulder roll. So we're just going to carry on with these. We'll breathe out as we go down and out as we go up. But if your body wants you to do something different, just do what your body wants you to do, as long as you're breathing. So inhale, reversing the chin, take it down. My knees are soft, just taking it out of the hamstrings a little bit. And now what I'm trying to do, as I start to go deep, I'm really trying to keep my head as close to the body as I can so that my spine is rounding.
Relax your neck, arm, and shoulders. The knees are still nice and soft. So let gravity just hold your arms and your head. Or maybe you want to have a little nod, yes and no. Breathe in. And then as you exhale, and the tummy naturally pulls in, we start to come into standing. Now, if you need to take another breath, stop. Inhale. And then carry on coming up. Once you come up, have a shoulder again, have a shoulder roll again. Breathe in. And we're going to just keep going. We are just mobilizing the spine. Like I said, if you just got out of bed, everything's feeling a little bit stiff. Maybe you've been sat all day at a desk. And it's up to you how deep you want to go. Some people can go all the way down to the floor. For some of you, it might be over here. You might want to just have the hands on the shins for a little bit of support or relax your arms. Breathing out, coming back up. I say, if you get dizzy, just come back down. Come up again, shoulder roll. Chin to chest. Now, if you find that the back of your legs are okay, then maybe you can start to straighten the legs a little bit. But often what happens when we come to straight legs is people bounce the bum back. Your hips, the nice thing about these trousers, is the black line you can see, ankle, hip, they want to stay directly above each other. So you almost want to think of light heels. Breath in. As you exhale, pull the tummy in, pull it in, pull it in. Once you come up, have a shoulder roll. We're going to do one more. Chin to chest, pull the tummy in. So when we engage the tummy, we're just supporting that lower back. Relaxing your neck, your arms, your shoulders. Now, even when I come up, I'm trying to keep, my glasses off, I'm trying to keep that forehead close to the body. Especially if you've done yoga before, they tend to come up with a flat back. But this, we want to round as we come up. Good, have a shoulder roll at the top. Oh, I love them. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to bend the spine in the opposite direction. So that was flexing the spine. Now we're going to extend the spine. We're going to reach back with it. So your hands can go, so there's the top of the pelvis, this back bony bit over there that you can see on that skeleton. And I'm going to put my fingers into the muscles just above that area. I've got the microphone on that side. I like to actually have a fist, or you can put your hands over there. So whatever you feel is better for your wrists and your hands. So from here, have a shoulder roll. So we're going to roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down, and then squeeze those elbows together. So we're just opening up across this front chest area. So as we're going to be working into lower back stretching, I'm focusing on releasing this front area as well. So often to stretch off the lower back, we also need to stretch off the hips because there's certain muscles in the body that are connected to the spine, which are also connected to the front of the thigh bone, the psoas muscle. So doing this kind of movement stretches that muscle off. So have your feet hip width, breathe in. Now just engage your bum cheeks and start to send your hips forward, keeping the elbows coming closer together and then just gently tilting the head back. So we're not throwing the head back. I certainly don't like to take my head too far back. In fact, my eyes always stay kind of where the wall meets the ceiling. And then bring it back up. So as you come up, squeeze the tummy. Give the body a jiggle. Breathe in, engage your bum cheeks, send your hips forward, and maybe looking up to the ceiling or just gazing slightly forward. But pull those shoulder blades. Really make sure your booties are working to support the lower back. We'll do one more. So like I said, especially if you've been driving, maybe long distance driving, when you get out to the petrol station, this is a fantastic stretch to do. So now we're going to combine the roll down with their extension. Okay, so your choice if you want to do soft knees or straight legs. Straight legs is a little bit harder. So shoulder roll, standing nice and tall. Breathe in. Reverse your kind to the garage. Chin to chest, pulling in that belly button, knees are soft. Now I'm trying to keep my head. I imagine I've got a little piece of chalk on my forehead. And I'm trying to draw that centered line down the center of my body. Oh, I can feel that in the lower back there. And then just going down as far as, you don't want to be comfortable with this. You want to be uncomfortable, but you don't want any pain. So if you've got this pulling in the back of the legs, that's fine. There's a muscle stretching. You just don't want like any pain in the bones or joints of your body. Breathe in at the bottom, exhale, pull the tummy in, relax your neck, your arms, your shoulders. Once you come up, they will naturally slot into position, and then let's have a little shoulder roll. Hands go onto the lower back, shoulder roll, squeeze your elbows together, engage your bums, and send your hips forward. And then come back up. We'll do a couple more, breathe in, chin to chest, trying to keep that head nice and close to the body as you can. Weight goes into the front part of the foot. Breath in at the bottom. Exhale, draw the tummy in. So use your belly. Once you come up, shoulder roll, hands into the back of the hips. Squeeze your bums and send your hips forward. So when you come back from here, you really want to squeeze those abdominals and pull in. Last one. Chin to chest. So by now, hopefully that spine is feeling a lot better, a lot more movable. Bringing yourself up, have a shoulder roll, hands into the back of the hips, squeeze those bums forward, and then bring yourself back up. So the last little section we're going to do with these roll downs. So a roll down is flexing the spine, but there is a little bit of hip hinging going on. There's hip movement going on while we're doing a flexion, in order for us to get the hands towards the floor. So what we're actually going to focus on now is pure or true flexion of the spine, which means you're not going to get your hands near the floor. If they're anywhere near the floor, then you know that there's some hip movement going on. So the nice way to do this, and the word of caution, you might lose your balance with this, so just be careful. So I've got my bum against the wall, okay? So I've got my bum against the wall and my feet are relatively close. Depends on how big your bum is really. Now in this position, I'm actually focusing on trying to keep this against the wall. So let's say there's the elastic band of my trousers. I'm going to keep that against the wall. So I almost have to do a little bit of a pelvic tilt, like to send my lower back into the floor. So for some people, you might need to take your feet a little bit more further. So standing tall, trying to get my lower back to touch the wall. So breathe in, reverse your car into the garage, chin to chest, and then I'm going to roll down. So now, I'm trying to keep up to the elastic band of my trousers against the wall. So this is as far as I can go. So you can see it's not very far. As you breathe out, you bring yourself back up again. Now, if you haven't got a wall, you can use a door, cupboards, fridge, anything like that. And if you still haven't got access to this, then we're going to do it without it. Now, the biggest thing here, if you haven't got a wall, is that we are trying to stop the hips moving back a little bit. So one way I think of it is actually come up onto the toes. So I'm taking some weight out of the feet, the heels. Breathe in, and you might want to have soft knees again. Chin to chest, and same thing. So I'm going to roll down as much as I can. And this one is actually harder because you've got nothing to help you. So this is about as far as I can go. So you can see my hips are still above my ankles. And this is working ankle strength as well. Pull that tummy in. So this part is still upright, and then bring yourself back up. Grow nice and tall. So it's a little bit harder in terms of the balance, which is not a bad thing because we all need to improve our balance. But doing against the wall feels a little bit more safe, and it does stop the bum going back. So we'll do a few more. So you have option of wall, option of no wall. So you're trying to get to that point where it's like, ooh, I'm going to fall over. And that's the point that you want to try and hold. So for me, I would be there.
Now, what I'm trying to do when I'm in that position is my tailbone, I'm trying to tilt the tailbone more down. So I'm trying to bring the pubic bone more up. So you've got to use those tummy muscles. And what that is doing is taking these muscles and stretching them. So the more you can send your tailbone under, think of a dog that's in trouble, which is mine all the time. The tailbone goes under, and we're trying to round the top part of the spine. So we are trying to stretch off this part. Bring yourself back up, grow nice and tall. So we'll do a couple more. So really engage that tummy, pull the pubic bone, relax your neck, your arms, your shoulders. Oh, feels lovely. Bring yourself back up. Shoulder roll, and last one. Always give your shoulders a little jiggle. Sometimes I find tension just creeps back into them so easily. Bring yourself back up. Grow nice and tall. Ah, lovely. So have a little jiggle, give your spine a relax, and we're going to come onto your all fours now. So we're going to do, this is called a thread the needle, but I'm actually just doing one half of it. So I call it a thread the needle prep. Now if you have any wrist issues, you come onto your elbows. So you can do this on your elbows. Or if you've got a couch in front of you, you can just put your elbows on the couch. Or, you know, maybe you've got a footrest or something like that. You can put your elbows onto that. You don't need to lean onto your wrist. So like I said, the session today is really friendly for everybody. Now this mat is nice and soft, so it can make things a little bit harder. But the harder we work, the more we challenge the body. So we're just going to start. The first part is having your wrists and elbows under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Okay. Now, if you cannot sit on your knees, if you can't be on your knees, you are going to come into a seated position. You can do whatever you want with your legs. You can sit on a chair as well if you need to, or you can cross. Your hands will be across the body here, and then same as when we're in all fours, when you go to the left, you're going to start to turn your spine to the left, and then when we go to the right, we'll turn the spine to the right. So you're going to do the same thing, just in a seated position. Again, if you've got really bad wrists or elbows, you can be in this position as well. So that's for anybody that's got dodgy knees, that you can't put your weight into your knees. Okay? For the rest of us, now in the thread, in this all four-point, I can't speak today, in this four-point yin position, I just want to make sure that that lower back is not hanging. So pull the tummy in and think of almost trying to take the curve out of the lower back. From here, I'm going to take my right hand under, actually I'm going to do my left hand so it's closer to you. And I'm going to put the palm facing down on the floor. And I'm going to cheat by trying to pull myself around. Oh, did you hear that click in the back? Now what I'm trying not to do is sink over with the hips or go to the other side. And the supporting arm, and I want to use the term locked. It's not really locked. We're pushing the floor away. The elbow is strong with the muscles, and the shoulder joint is working to keep pushing the floor away. So I'm not really hanging in that shoulder joint there, so push it away. Now, as I'm trying to walk my hands a little bit more round, just be aware that is all the weight going into one knee, maybe it's going all the way to the left knee, or maybe the bum sinks down, feet can come up. There's quite a lot that can go a little bit wonky with this exercise. And then bring yourself back. Now I find that as soon as I lift my right hand, the right leg will take a lot of the weight, and you want to try and keep that balance as you turn. So now my right hand goes on the floor. I'm pushing away with the left arm. Oh yes. Oh, I can feel a click starting to happen. And we're just going to alternate. So if you see the line of my head, so the back of my head and my tailbone, if you had to put a stick across the back there, it would hopefully be in alignment. So be aware that when you come into this position, you still want to have that alignment rather than the head dropping. Okay? Lift the back of the head. And then change sides. So again, if you're in a seated position, all you're going to do now is rotate towards your left. I've got one little tight piece over there that needs a click. Then come back again. So we'll do one more each side. I like to hold it for a breath and then on that exhale try and go a little bit deeper. Remember, push away with the supporting arm so you're not sinking in the shoulder joint. Breathe into the back. And then bring yourself back. And then from here we're going to come into a child pose. So I'm just going to sink the heels down to the bum. So we're just sitting nice and forward at the moment. Now, if there's any discomfort in your knees, so you can feel like a lot of impingement or pressure, you can put a load of cushions underneath your bum, into the back of the thigh there, and that will help just to take the pressure off of the knee joint. Again, if this is too much on the knees with the bum down, you can come up a little bit for what we're going to do. And if that's completely inaccessible being on your knees, you're going to come into a seated position for the first part, and you're just going to grab hold of the back of your legs and just give your knees a cuddle. Okay, so you can hold onto the front. Sometimes the back of the legs helps you to get a little bit closer. Because again, we're just focusing on stretching off the lower back. So I'm just going to explain quickly what we will do. We're going to do a child pose with some side stretching. So for those of you that can't be on your knees, when you come into your child pose, so the first part, just give your knees a hug. Try and balance, see if you can balance, get your feet off. And then from there, pop your feet down on the floor and you'll do a side bend. So the rest of us will be doing a side child pose. So you can just do a side stretch to that side and then we'll change sides. Okay, so that will be the option for you. But let's go into child pose. So again, the knees are under hips. Now you can have, sometimes I have the feet, I'll just leave them with the, or I'll bring the feet together. So drop the bum to the heels and then just start to reach your arms forward. So, and then just stay there for a moment while I come up so I can talk. Now for some people, having the hands in line with the shoulders is too much on the shoulder joint. Like it's like really uncomfortable or it's painful. So you can have the hands wider. So just open up the hands a little bit. And you want to focus on sending your tailbone down. So if you think of your breathing, as you inhale, expand the breath into your legs. And then a long exhale. And just as you get to the end of the breath out, pull that pubic bone toward your heart. So we're trying to send that tailbone down towards your heels. So we can use those abdominals to help stretch off the back. We'll do one more. Good. So now we're going to take our hands over towards the left. Now if you're in a seated position, we're stretching off the right side of the body, so just relax your left hand on the floor, bring your right hand up and into this little side bend. Okay, that's if you're going to be in a seated position. If you're in a child, you're just walking your hands over towards the right side. And now really focus on keeping the right bum cheek down. Often what might happen is that. And then breathe into the right side of your body. And you want to stretch from the wrist all the way to the elbow to the armpit to the hip. Just another couple of stretches here.
breath, I mean. Just another couple of breaths here. You might be able to walk that hand a little bit further. Good, so we come back to the center, and then we take it over towards your right side. So now we're stretching off the left side of the back. So if you take yourself over, if you're in a seated position, your hand, right hand to the floor, you just lift the left hand up and just take it into that little side bend. So we're just stretching off the side body. So the area we're targeting with these side childs is a little bit of the side body and this part of the back, which can get quite stiff and tight as well. Make sure that if you're in the child pose that your left bum is staying down on your heels and you're just reaching that left arm away. Using the breath to stretch from the left wrist to the left elbow to the armpit, and the armpit down towards your hips. One more breath here. Walk your hands back to the middle. And then we slowly bring ourselves back up again. Oh, losing my glasses. So we'll come into cat-cow, and this is a little bit more mobilizing. So coming back onto all fours. Again, so if you can't be on your knees, you just come back into that seated position and just hold the legs. It works just as well, in fact, probably even better for stretching off the lower back. You can also do this on your elbows. So breath in. Now when you breathe out, we're tucking the tailbone down. So you're trying to bring your pubic bone towards your heart. So again, think of a dog that's putting the tail between the legs. You're going to bring your pubic bone towards your heart and just round your spine, like you're trying to make a round ball, if you can say that. Sometimes I come up with these things, I'm like, what? And then relax your head. Now, lift your body, push your body away from the mat and just let the head dangle. So we're not forcing the chin into the chest, we're just letting gravity hold the head for a little bit. Now when you breathe in, we're going to send the tailbone towards the ceiling. Now even though I'm starting to dip into the lower back, my belly is not hanging. So I'm not just letting my tummy hang on the floor, I've got that belly button pulled in. Now have a little shoulder roll, so pull the shoulders forward, up to the ears, down the back, and then lift the heart. So I'm not throwing my head back, all I'm trying to do is just bring my heart slightly forward and up, but the tummy is pulled in. Breathe out, pubic bone comes towards the heart, relax the head. Inhale, tailbone to ceiling. This is just moving the spine. You don't need to overthink it. Good. And then once you've done your next part where you lift the heart, you come back to the center. So, bring yourself back down again. Now we are going to do what's called a 3-in-1. I don't know if other people call it a 3-in-1. We call it a 3-in-1. And this is where we take the spine into a flexion, straight spine, extension. So again, the more we can mobilize each section of the spine, the more it's going to release all these muscles in the lower back, mid back, upper back, shoulders, neck. The whole body is connected. So the more we can really get the body moving, it's going to help with any backache or anything. So that's what we're going to focus on now. Again, if child pose is not accessible, you are just going to stay up in that kind of position. The rest of us will be in child. So I'm very quickly going to demonstrate what to do if you cannot be on your knees at all. So we'll be in a seated position. As you breathe out, you're going to tuck the tailbone under and come into that position. So the tummy's pulling in here and we're trying to squeeze your ribs to hip. On the inhale, I'm going to come up, squeeze the shoulder blades and lift the heart. It's almost like that little cat-cow that we've done. And then into that position, open up and just lift a little bit.
Okay, so when you're lifting, it's almost like I'm trying to squeeze my shoulder blades down into my hips. So it doesn't actually look like a very big move, but when I feel like it, I'm like, oh, it's a massive move. But I see on the camera, it's like, oh, it's hardly look like I'm moving. Okay. The other alternative is that you just come onto your front and stay here while the rest of us move. And if you want to make that a little bit deeper or a little bit more intense, you can bring your feet towards your bum. Okay? The only part with this one is you just want to make sure that you're not sagging in your shoulders. We're not lying on the beach, not yet. You want to push the floor away so that the shoulders are nice and strong. And then you can engage your bum cheek to push the pubic bone into the mat a little bit. So for some people, even having the feet up might be too much. So maybe just over there, or like I said, you can stay in that position. Okay? So the rest of us, child pose. Good. So breathe in, come to all fours. Flat back. Okay, so be aware there's no dipping. Now, some people like to keep their hands where they are. I like to have a little step forward with my hands. Now, as I step forward, I'm going to squeeze my booty and I'm going to lift the crown of the head up and I'm pushing the floor away from me. So I'm going to exaggerate what we're trying to avoid. Okay, can you see how the shoulders are wrapped around my ears? My hips are almost on the floor. I've got no muscle going on at the moment. This is all hanging in bones, hanging in the shoulders, hanging in the spine. It's not a good place to be. So you want to squeeze your bum and push the floor away from you. Pull your tummy in, so get your belly button to bring your body out of that, all fours. Take it to child. All fours, squeeze your bum, lift the crown of the head, squeeze the bum. And then coming back. So if you're in a seated, you're just doing that little half movement back. Pulling in those belly buttons, trying to get your ribs and your hips closer together. This is if you're in the seated. And then when you come up, think of a little back bend. You're trying to shine your heart up towards the sky. And then bring yourself back to the middle. Good. And then we're going to come into standing. So tucking your toes in at the back. Now, this is how we try and come up in a class, but for some people, this is not achievable. Maybe you've had a hip replacement, knee replacement, or you get dizzy, or whatever the case may be. Just get up in a safe way. And if you get dizzy, you just keep your head down. Some people have low blood pressure and they always get dizzy. So just taking your time as you come up. Safety over anything else. Oh, good. So just notice, like, how does your back feel now? Does it move much easier? Good. So I always like to finish some of the classes with a bit of a flump. So have your feet wider, and we're just going to take a little bit of a spine movement. So when we move the hips in this direction or in this way, the knees and the feet want to move as well, just so that we don't put any undue strain on the knee joints. I like to do this just to wake the body up again and then come back to the front. Last one, you take your hands up to the ceiling. Nice big stretch, reach for the stars. And then bring your hands down and give yourself a little clap. You all deserve a clap for making it to your mats. So I hope you enjoyed that little back stretching routine. A little bit more spine mobility as well. Like I said, the more we can move the whole spine, it's going to get into that lower back as well. And those extensions are great for if you're sitting all day, get up, once an hour or something, stretch it off. If you're driving long distance, every time you get out the petrol station, have a stretch. It's really going to help release any back problems. So that's all for today. I'll see you in another video. I'm Tanya from Elite Pilates and Yoga. Bye.